Thank you, Joel Johnson. Good morning, everybody. I see some faces here that I haven't seen in a long time. It's good to have you here this morning. The good news is my cousin Ozzy got a new girlfriend. If you're new here for the first time or I haven't heard of cousin Ozzy, he lives in Dundas, South Dakota. He's quite a character, and sometimes I share some of his goings-on because we can't learn a single thing from him, but they're funny. Anyway, he got a new girlfriend. Evidently, she's a good cook. She invited Ozzy and his best friend, Lars Iverson, over to her house for dinner. So she's in the kitchen cooking. Ozzy and Lars are sitting in the living room, commiserating about getting old. Lars was extremely worried that his memory was fading. He said he can't remember the smallest details about things. And Ozzy says, oh, don't worry a bit about that. I had that same problem. I went to the doctor, and that doctor gave me some memory medicine, and now I can remember everything that I did 20 years ago. So Lars, interested, says, well, what is this memory medicine? And Ozzy said, what's the name of that flower? It's red, and it has thorns. And Lars says, a rose? And he says, yeah. So Ozzy yells to his girlfriend in the kitchen, hey, Rose. What's that memory medicine I take? Now, if you are here new for the first time or visiting us from out of town, you might wonder what Unity is all about, because it is a little bit different than some of your mainline traditional Christian churches. The greatest or the most simple definition for unity is it's practical Christianity. And what that means is that we study the teachings of Jesus and we pull out various principles and direction that he gave, and we practice that in our lives so that we can have a greater abundance of joy and happiness and love. It's taking what Jesus said and practicing it. In Unity, we're not a religious organization, but we are very, very spiritual. We don't dwell on dogma and doctrine and dictates and do's and don'ts, but we do take a very, very sharp focus on how we can improve our lives by following the principles Jesus put forth. You don't have to be a Christian to engage in practical Christianity any more than you have to be a Hindu to involve yourself in yoga. It is just a teaching that is out there for everybody to practice. Now, Jesus' primary message was that life is supposed to be a rewarding experience. It's supposed to be a fulfilling experience. You're supposed to have love and joy and harmony in your life to the degree that you desire. The second part of that message is every single person born, every living thing born, has the capacity to do that. You have the potential to do that. Life hasn't dealt you a bad hand where you can't reach greater levels of happiness or where you can't be as harmonious with other people as you want to be. Everything there is within us to provide for us the life that we desire. And that just isn't for us, and that's for every living thing. Every creature born into this world has the capacity to create for itself a comfortable and fulfilling life. No exceptions. So that being said, it sounds very easy. How do we do that? Well, the first thing and let me start off by saying life isn't always easy. I'm not trying to say that, but life is always simple. What applies in a grand universal sense for the smallest creature on earth applies for us. So to have a rewarding life and a fulfilling life, the first thing we need to do is determine what we value. Primarily, what we value is what we need. It's our basic human needs. Once we determine what we value, we set our intention on increasing that in our lives if it's not at the degree that we desire. The third thing is to follow through and take some sort of action, or as Jesus said, practice, or as Unity is practical Christianity, begin to practice that which fulfills your intention, which increases that which you value, whether it's love, whether it's peace, whether it's harmony. And I'm primarily talking about the increase in emotional well-being. Everything that we strive for out there, whether it's money or position or relationship or car, it all comes back to an emotional experience. that emotional experience is the reward we have in life or it's the curse that we have in life. So that sounds pretty simple. Determine what we value, set our intention on increasing that in our lives, and then put in place some practice that will do exactly that. If it's that simple, how come it's not easy? I'd like to share a couple of examples with you from the animal world that will help us better understand that. There is a fellow named Dr. James Henry Fabre, French scientist, and he did an experiment with processionary caterpillars, so-called because they travel in a procession. He took a regular dinner plate, he put it upside down on a table, he lined up the processionary caterpillars around the outer edge, he put pine needles on top of the plate because that's the natural food, and he sat there and see what would happen. Well, the caterpillars began to walk around the plate, around and around and around, one after another. He finally had to stop the experiment because the caterpillars were starving to death. With food just inches away, they were starving to death because they refused to break their commitment or break their conformity to the procession. Now, I bring this up because sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking, because life seems to be this way, because my family seems to be this way, because the people at work seem to be this way, in regards to the level of happiness they experience, that's what it is for me. And instead of rising ourselves up and taking our power to create greater levels of what we desire in our lives, we simply go with the norm. Sometimes that leaves a sense of dissatisfaction. Sometimes it leads to depression, sometimes to sadness, sometimes to a sense of unworthiness, because we know that there's more to us, we know that there's more to life, yet we just can't seem to tap it. I was raised in a family that had a limitation on anger. If you were angry about anything, the first thing that was done is you went to your room, isolation, and you were to stay there until you came out with a smile on your face. Well, what it taught me was how to put forth a fake smile in a very, very good way. And I could come back and still have that anger brewing within inside me, but seem to be happy. And I went through much of my life that way, burying my anger and wondering why it's me that has these sudden outbursts or these temper tantrums or these times, situations, and circumstances where I just kind of implode. I had to break free from that cycle and move forth to realize that if I'm sad or if I'm angry or if I have a sense of disharmony at all, that I can voice that in a way which is reasonable and which is harmonious and be free of it. The second story I want to tell you is about an elephant. And the elephant's name is Babe. Babe traveled with the circus. Back in the 20s, the circus moved around the country by trains. And when they went on hiatus, their camp was down in Arizona. The entire circus would go back there. That's where they would camp out. There was a huge field across from the camp, and that's where Babe was taken every morning. Stake was put in the ground, a chain put around Babe's leg so she could graze. Well, the people in the circus began to notice when they went back to get her that evening, she had moved to a different part of the field. Stake still on the ground, chain still around her leg, but she wasn't where they had left her. And at first they thought somebody was playing a joke, hide the elephant or something like that. So they began to observe, and they discovered when Babe had eaten all the grass within its range and the ground was down to just dirt, Babe would actually pull the stake up, move to a different area of the field where it was plentiful, put the stake back in the ground, and have all the food that Babe wanted. Now, I bring this story up because sometimes we're grazing in an area where there is nothing to eat. Sometimes we're looking for happiness where happiness doesn't exist. Sometimes we're looking for peace of mind where peace doesn't exist. And it's simply because we're grazing on ground that doesn't provide for us what we need or what we want. Researchers tell us You take the 5 people that you spend the most time with in a relationship that is social and somewhat intimate, 5 of your best friends that you spend your most time with. You take the average of happiness between those 5 people, and that's pretty much what you're going to be. That when we move into a group of some sort, the researchers call it a herd, when we move into a group of some sort, we mold ourselves into the group, and it affects us and we affect it. So if you're with a group of people or a family, and the happiness level on a scale of 1 to 10 is 5, if you move in there at an 8, the happiness level might go up to 6 for the group, but you're going to go down because you conform to the way they are, just like the caterpillars conform to the procession. And when this happens, like Babe the elephant, we need to recognize that I am not getting what I need here. I am not getting fed. I need to find a different place. I need to find fertile ground. I need to find people and places that can help me rise to a level of happiness that I desire. Once again, life is very simple, but it's not always easy. We determine what we value in life. And what is it you value? We all value love. We all value happiness. We want to be in harmony with people we work with, our neighbors, our family. We want to feel self-confidence, all sorts of characteristics that we value. If there's something in your life that you value, but it's not present to the degree that you desire, then that is what we focus on, and we set our intention on practicing something that will increase that level in our lives. And once again, there's no exceptions on this. If you feel that your happiness is not at the level that you desire, you set your intention to increase your happiness, you're going to do that if you put forth some practice, some step that you can do on a daily basis. Now, most of us in this room, the first of every year, we set our resolutions. I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to quit whatever it is that decreases my sense of well-being. And it's good at first. We sit down and we think about what we're going to do, and we think about how it's going to be, and we're excited, and we're impassioned, and we're puffed up. And then in a month, it's like, what resolution? We forget all about it. And the reason for that is because if we start to move forward with this new resolution and make changes in our lives, when the changes aren't apparent, we think, well, this isn't working. Why should I continue on? Why should I starve myself? I'm not losing any weight. We have all these justifications. But the reason the resolution isn't working because we didn't put a practice in place that is going to move us forward to what it is we want. And when we start to talk about increasing that which we value in life, we're talking about baby steps, not giant leaps. I want to be happier. I can't leap over to a happier life. But I can certainly take baby steps for it. And every day, in every way, I get a little happier. I have a good friend of mine, 50 pounds overweight, has been on almost every diet that has come out. And every diet has failed. Finally, he found a diet that worked. And I ran into him. He lost 30. He was on his way to 50 pounds. And I said, well, how are you doing it? What's working this time? And he said, well, I went to the doctor, and he told me I had to lose 50 pounds. And I agreed, I do need to lose 50 pounds. He says, but I knew I couldn't do that. When he told me that, man, lose 50 pounds, I just don't have the discipline. I don't have the willpower. I can't do it. He says, I defeated myself before I walked out the doctor's door. And when I went back for the next checkup, and the doctor said, you haven't lost any weight at all, I said, Doc, I just cannot lose 50 pounds. I'm sorry. So the doctor said, it's okay. That's fair enough. Can you lose 1 pound? The guy says, yeah. Okay, this week, lose 1 pound. And then next week, lose another pound. Lose a pound a week for 50 weeks. All of a sudden it seemed doable. All of a sudden in his mind he could see that happening. See, when we break these huge mountainous goals and objectives that we have down into smaller pieces that we can manage and that we can handle, they become very doable. Anybody in here can lose 1 pound a week. You do it for 50 weeks, you've lost your 50 pounds. And that was his success record. It's the same thing with anything else we try. Any goals that we set or any objectives that we have, in the beginning they seem so big. We stand at the base of the mountain thinking, I have got to climb this, but we don't take that first step because we're afraid we can't do it. If we stand at the base of the mountain, we look at the top and say, all I got to do is take 1 step closer to that top today, and we're going to move in that direction. So we've all got that power. We've all got that inner potential. We've all got that spiritual component with us that is just flush with all these characteristics and all these attributes that we can utilize to express into the world, receive back, and live the life we want to live. Nothing can hold you back from that. That goes for everybody. So as we move into meditation, think a little bit about what in your life that you value is not at the degree you desire. What would you like to increase? Love? Harmony in relationships? Happiness? Self-confidence? How about less worry? Less stress? Less anxiety? And more optimism towards the future? Whatever you want, it's inside you. Whatever you want, and you can utilize that to move yourself forward 1 step at a time. Let's move into meditation now and just think about yourself and your life and know that you have the power within you to do whatever you choose.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place, and that presence lives within our hearts and our souls. Let us now turn our attention to that still small voice within, closing out any outer distractions, and listen as God speaks within your soul. Find a comfortable position in your seats. Take a deep, relaxing breath. As you inhale slowly, know that the Spirit of the Lord is in you. Breathe in deeply and exhale slowly. Breathe in, breathe out. As you go deeper into your inner self, focus on your breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. As we enter the spring season, let us be reminded of the words of co-founder Charles Fillmore. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do those things that ought to be done by me. Allow the Spirit of God within you to spring forth, lighting your path to whatever is yours to do. Let go, let God. In the silence, in the silence. I now invite you to return to this place, to this time, knowing that you are poised and centered in the Christ mind, where nothing can disturb the deep, calm peace of your soul. Take these words as your own. I am poised and centered in the Christ mind, where nothing can disturb the deep, calm peace of my soul. Peaceful mind, peaceful heart, peaceful spirit. And so it is. Amen. Sweet